Hello, everybody. Welcome to Yoga for Self-Love with Kim. I am Kim. This is my helper, Gussie, next to me. You may see my other dog, Sunny, enter the picture at some point. We'll see. Today's practice will be a short, gentle practice. We will relax and calm our nervous system down a little bit, and then we'll move slowly through some twists and some spinal movements to open up our body, make some space, give us some room to breathe, to move. So bring yourself to your mat. If you have a strap, go ahead and grab your yoga strap and put a little loop on your strap. We're going to put this around our legs in a moment. We're going to move into a constructive rest position on our back. And then also grab a yoga block. If you have one. If you don't have either one of those things, then you can either use a belt or a sash or something like that, or you can just skip it. And if you don't have a block, you could use a book, or you could skip it too. So not a big deal. We'll just be there for a little bit. Before we move onto our backs into our constructive rest, let's just move through a few little massages, give ourselves a little love and help to just kind of calm down the nervous system. So bring your hands to the back of your head and just take your fingers, give yourself a little massage at the back of your skull. Nice and easy. You can use your thumbs to kind of massage where the neck attaches to your skull. Feel free to yawn or sigh. And as you do this, if you like, you can just open up your mouth, let the jaw hang down. And then we'll move our fingers down. Now take your fingers behind your ears, so sort of the corner of your jaw is the hinge of the jaw. Take the fingers right behind the jaw, up behind the fingers, up behind the ears, along the neck. And just give yourself a little gentle massage there. You can move the fingers down towards the jaw and then back up behind the ears. Take your fingers and grab right behind your ears where your sternocleidomastoid connects to the skull. You can feel that musculature there. Just give that a little massage and then slowly bring your fingers down the front of the neck, massaging that sternocleidomastoid muscle on each side. And then when you get to the collarbones, take your fingers, massage above the collarbone. You can start at the center and work your way out a little bit. It's helping to release any tension in these areas. And then take your fingers underneath your collarbone. Again, you can start at the center of the chest and gently massage and work your way out to the sides. And then let's take the fingers, maybe one hand, to your xiphoid process. So the bottom of your sternum, sort of where the rib cage comes together at the center, right at that center point. There is your xiphoid process, and gently massaging in there with the fingers. And as you're doing this, if you feel it, you can close your eyes or you could keep the eyes open. Begin to check in with your breath. And start to check in. Notice your inhalation, your exhalation. Notice if one is longer than the other. And take a few cycles of breath to equalize the inhalation and the exhalation. So make them of the same length. You can release the hands down. And then you can continue with the equal inhalation, exhalation, or we'll take a few cycles of breath, now making your exhalation a little bit longer than your inhalation, which can begin to turn on your relaxation response. So maybe you breathe in for a count of 4, out for a count of 6, or something like that. Please feel free to tailor this to your breath capacity. And now let's bring it over into our constructive rest position. So you grab your strap here and you're going to put it around the legs. So you want this loop to be big enough so you can fit your legs in there. And then we will take a block, tuck it right in between the knees. So the block will prevent the knees from falling in. Strap will prevent the legs from falling out, so you don't have to worry about the legs and what they're doing. You can slowly lower yourself down to the mat. So the knees are bent, pointing up. Feet are about hip width distance. Adjust your strap as necessary. And again, you can close the eyes or you can keep the eyes open and find a soft gaze. And let's come back to that breath with the longer inhalation and take a few cycles here. You can have the arms out to the sides, palms facing up or down, or you could bring hands to rest on your belly, one hand to rest on belly, one hand to rest on heart. While you're here, taking a few cycles of breath in this way with the longer exhalation, I invite you to check in with yourself and notice how you are feeling today and what is going on for you. Notice any physical sensations in your body, any emotions that might be present. Any areas of tightness or tension or stuck energy in the body. And I invite you to bring in the intention to be gentle, kind, patient, loving, compassionate with yourself as you move through this practice. And if you choose to carry the intention off of the mat, out into the world with you. Be kind to yourself. Why not? You deserve kindness. And then slowly release your hands. Flutter the eyes open, begin to wiggle fingers and toes and slowly call yourself back. And then you can draw the knees in towards your chest, pluck that block out from in between the knees, slowly slide the strap down and off of your legs, push it off to the side. Let's draw knees into the chest and gently rock yourself from side to side. And then bring yourself to center, hands to the knees. Roll your knees around in some circles. And then switch direction of your circles. Bring your knees back to center. Drop your feet down to the mat. Take the feet wide to outer edges of your mat. Let's drop both knees over to the right. And then wave your knees up through center and drop both knees over to the left. And then if few more times. Rock the legs side to side. You can let the head rock along with the legs. Maybe head rolls in opposite direction of the knees, or maybe the same direction. Just check in and see what feels right for you. And then walk the feet back in, back about hip width. Draw knees in towards your chest. Let's roll everything over onto your left side. So you come to rest on the left shoulder blade. Stack your right hand on top of the left. Keeping the legs as they are, knees stacked on top of each other. Slowly begin to peel the right arm open. Finding a reclining twist here. Opening the chest, that right arm out to the right side. So we're finding this twist from about the bottom of the rib cage. And then roll yourself back over onto your left side. And now let's roll over onto the right side. Coming down onto that right shoulder blade. Knees are stacked. Left palm will come to meet the right. Then we'll slowly find our twist on this side. Pulling that left arm back to the left side. Unfurling the arm. Opening through the chest. You can gaze over towards the left hand or look up. Or even look over towards the right hand. See where you get some nice sensation through that left arm, through the neck, through the pecs. And then slowly roll yourself back over onto that left side. We'll keep the knees as they are stacked on top of each other. And now bring yourself either up onto your right forearm, or you could come up onto the right hand and allow that right shoulder to hunch up towards the ear as you let the right side of the rib cage sort of sink down towards the mat, feeling some spaciousness through that right side of the rib cage. And you can have left hand on the hip or that thigh. And just take a few deep breaths here. And then slowly lower yourself back down onto that right side. And then we'll roll over onto left side now. So same thing, other side. Knees are stacked. We are now lying on the left side of the body, and you can come up onto left forearm, keep it here, or plant that left hand to the mat. Shrug that left shoulder up towards ear and let that left side of the rib cage sink down towards your mat. And then from here, slowly begin to push into that left hand and bring yourself up into a seated position of your choice. You can sit up on something here if you like. Let's take the palms together at the heart, root down through the sitting bones, through the pubic bone. Wiggle the sides of your body long, finding space through the ribs, reaching crown of the head up towards ceiling. Let's take a deep breath in. As you exhale, little baby twist over to the right. Keeping the chin lined up with the fingers for now. And then let's spin it back to center. Deep breath in. Exhale. Let's take a little baby twist over to the left. Bring everything back to center. Let's take a deep breath in. And as you exhale again, little twist over to the right. If you like, you can let the head go now. And spin the head into a deeper rotation. And then bring everything back to center. Let's take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, spin it over to the left. And then bring it back to center. Let's inhale, bring the arms out to the sides and up, fingers touch overhead. As you exhale, pull the elbows down towards the side body, arms come out to the side. Inhale, arms reach back up, fingers towards each other, maybe they touch. Exhale, and you bring the arms back down. Let's do that a couple times, inhaling arms up. Exhaling, arms release. And then arms come back down, hands to knees or thighs. And let's roll the torso around in circles over to one side and forward, over to the other side and back. Circling around a few more times, your pace. And then switch your direction. Bring yourself back to center. Take the right fingers down underneath that right shoulder. Reach the left arm up, long through the spine. Deep breath in, and as you exhale, we'll fold it over to the right. Rooting down through that left sitting bone and reaching up and out through those left fingers. You can play with shifting your gaze down towards the mat, maybe up towards the ceiling, or just keeping the gaze forward. And then bring yourself up to center, drop left fingers down, reach right arm up, take a deep breath in, lengthening up through crown of head, and as you exhale, we'll fold it over now to the left, rooting down through that right sitting bone and reaching up and out through the right fingers. And then if you like, you can shift the gaze down, out in front of you, or up. Bring yourself all the way back up, and then let's take ourselves over onto hands and knees, finding our table. And then we'll rock the hips from side to side. Bring the hips back to center. Take a peek over towards your right hip. Come back to center. Now take a peek over towards your left hip. Bring yourself back to center. Let's extend the right leg back behind you, hip level-ish. And then take that right foot over towards the left side. Drop the ball of that right foot off of the mat out to the left side. And then take a little peek over towards that left foot. So a little contraction through that left side body. Find some opening through the right side, and then bring yourself back to center. Right leg moves back behind you, and then you release that right knee down to the mat. Now extend the left leg back behind you, hip level-ish. We'll take that left foot over to the right side, off the mat, drop ball of that left foot down, and take a little peek over towards that foot. And then bring everything back to center. Left leg comes back behind you. Release that knee down to the mat. And we'll root down into the left fingers. Begin to pick up that right hand, bend that right elbow, peel that right elbow up towards the ceiling, and then unfurl that right arm all the way up. Maybe shift your gaze to look up at that right hand. And now let's thread the right arm underneath the body, come down onto outer right arm. You can drop your right cheek, temple down to the mat, and then come up onto your left finger pads. Tent the left hand, press down into the finger pads, keep it here, or reach the left arm up. Maybe you take that left hand around for a little bind, tuck it into that right hip or thigh. And then reach the left arm back up. Hand comes back down to the mat. Back through center, other side, rooting down into your right finger pads. Begin to lighten up through that left hand, pick up that left hand, peel that left elbow all the way up towards the ceiling, reach that left arm up, and then we'll send that left arm underneath the body, come down onto outer left arm, left cheek, temple, come down to the mat, tent those right fingers, come up onto finger pads, stay there, or right arm comes up towards ceiling or reaches around, tuck into that left knee or thigh. I'm sorry, left thigh or hip. And then right arm comes back up, Right hand comes back down to the mat. Let's bring ourselves back into our table. We'll extend the right leg back behind. Bend the right knee now, draw it underneath your body, round up through the back, and then step or grab and carry that right foot up top of the mat. Press down into that right foot, knee tracking over ankle. Hug in through the legs, begin to lift yourself up and reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Maybe you can allow the hips to sink down a little bit. Coming into a low lunge here. Then let's take the left hand to the top of the mat inside that right foot. Again, begin to bend that right elbow and peel that right arm up towards the ceiling, coming into a twist. Right hand comes back down, press into that right foot, reach the elbows up, unfurl the arms towards the ceiling, back through our low lunge, and then hands down to the mat. Step yourself back into your table, other side. Let's send left leg back. Bend that left knee round in through the back. Step that left foot up or grab and carry it up top of your mat. Press into your feet, hug in through legs, lift up through belly, arms reach up towards ceiling. Maybe you allow the hips to drop down just a little bit. And then we take right hand up to top of the mat inside that front foot. Begin to peel that left elbow up and unfurl the arm up towards the ceiling. And then bring that left arm back down, press into that left foot, elbows reach up, arms unfurl, finding our way back into our low lunge. And then hands come down to the mat, step yourself back. Rooting into fingers, tuck your toes under, press into the hands, glide hips up and back. Downward dog with a bend in the knees here, and begin to find some movement, pedaling legs. Bending, straightening knees, whatever movement feels good for you here. And then we'll bend the knees, turn the toes to the right, heels to the left, coming into a twisted dog. Find some little pulses here, pulsing into the hands, into the feet, bending the knees, making the legs a little bit straighter. You can stay here in your twisted dog, or you can root down into that left hand and reach that right arm up towards the ceiling. And then right hand comes down to the mat. Bring yourself through center and then turn the feet in the other direction. So knees bent, toes pointing over to the left now, heels pointing to the right, finding a few little pulses here. And then staying in your twisted dog, or if you like, begin to unfurl that left arm up to the ceiling. And then that left hand comes back down to the mat. Bring yourself back into your downward dog. And then slowly walk yourself up top of your mat. Forward fold, fold it in. And then let's reach the arms forward as you bend the knees and sit the hips back, coming into a chair pose. Let's take the palms together at the heart. Little twist over to the right. Tuck that that left elbow outside that right knee or thigh. Press the palms together. Hips back. Lift up through the belly. Begin to spin your heart up and to the right. Right shoulder blade pulls back. Bring yourself to center. Sit it back in your chair. Other side. Tuck that right elbow outside that left knee thigh. Hips back, knees back. Lift up that belly. Begin to spin the heart up towards the ceiling. Bring it back to center. Press into your feet and come all the way up. Palms together, overhead. And then hands slide down to heart. Release your hands now. Let's grab one of your yoga blocks. Have it handy. Let's step the right foot back. So not so far, moving into a pyramid pose. So we'll take a short stance for this. Let's take hands to the hips. Slowly begin to fold from the hips. So left foot is forward, right foot's back. We'll fold from the hips. You could have a bigger little bend in this front knee. Bring the torso about parallel to the mat. Press down into the feet, hug in through the legs, lift up through the belly, wave some length out through the crown of the head. Spine is nice and long. You can keep hands on the hips or release hands down to the mat. And let the head go. Maybe give the head a little shake or nod. And then we'll press into the feet. Hands come back to the hips. Soften through that front knee. Lift yourself up. Let's take it into our pyramid pose on the other side. So we'll step the right foot up. Step that left foot back. Short stance here. Hips squaring off towards top of the mat. Begin to fold from the hips. Hinging from the hips. Bring your torso about parallel-ish to the mat. Again, bigger little bend in that front knee if you need it. Deep breath in, lengthen out through the spine. Maybe you can fold in a little deeper. Hands can stay where they are, or you can reach hands down to the mat or your block. And then hands come back to hips, softening through that front knee as you press yourself up. And let's step it back up top of the mat. So we'll use the block now. Take it into a revolved triangle modification. So let's step a right foot back again. Short stance, just a couple feet there. Squaring off towards top of the mat. Let's begin to fold it forward. Press into the feet, lengthen through the spine, fold yourself a little deeper over that front leg, hands to the mat or your block. Now we'll take our block and bring that block right outside that left foot. Take that right hand over to that left, the block that's outside of the left foot. We'll take that left thumb, stick it into your left hip crease. Begin to pull the left hip back as you begin to spin your heart over to the left side of the mat. And then release. You can move the block back over to the other side. Fold yourself in over that front leg. Press into the feet, soften through that front knee. Lift yourself all the way up. Switch it over to the other side again. Right foot will step forward. Left foot steps back. Squaring hips off towards front of your mat. Let's hinge from the hips again. Fold it forward. Take a deep breath, lengthen out through the spine. Maybe you fold in over that front leg, hands down to mat or block. Right hip hugs back. And then let's take that block, put it right outside that right foot this time. If that feels like too much for you, you could put it in front of the foot or even inside the right foot. And then we'll take that left hand over to that block that's outside of that right foot. Tuck your right thumb into that right hip crease. Begin to pull the right hip back as you spin your heart over to the right now. And then bring your torso back to center. Move the block out of your way. Hands come back to hips, soften through the front knee, lift all the way up. Let's step ourselves back up to top of the mat, sweep the arms out to the sides and up, palms together overhead, soften the knees, fold yourself in. Let's bring it halfway up to a flat back, Ardha Uttanasana. And then bend your knees a lot so that you can get your hands back down onto the mat. Step yourself back into downward dog, pressing down and out through the hands, down through the heels. Find what you like here. Pedal out the legs, bend straight your knees, rock, shimmy, shake, whatever you like. And then we'll drop knees down to the mat. Come back to sit on heels. Drop over to one hip and then sweep your legs around. yourself all the way down to the mat. And now let's cross the right knee over the left. Pick up your hips and bring them over to the right an inch or two. And then slowly drop your knees over towards the left. You can take that right arm out to the right side. You could cactus that right arm, maybe bring that right arm up along the right ear. Left hand can move to the hip or the thigh. And then bring yourself back to center. Unravel your legs. Hips come back to center. Now we'll cross the left knee over the right. Pick up your hips, move them an inch or two over to the left side of your mat, and then drop the knees over to the right. Again, you can do what you like with this left arm. Bring it out to the side, cactus the arm, bring it up alongside the ear. And then slowly bring yourself onto your back, unravel legs, lift up hips, bring them back to center. Draw the knees into the chest, hands to the knees. Again, roll your knees around in a few little circles. And then switch the direction of your circles. And then bring your knees back to center. Let's take it into a happy baby. Hands to the back of the thighs. Pull the knees in towards your chest. Send your feet up as if you could plant your feet up on the ceiling. And you can stay here, or if you like, reach hands up for the feet or the ankles or the shins or the calves, finding your full happy baby. And then release the feet. Find your way back into Shavasana, your version. Maybe bring one hand to belly, one hand to heart. Let's come back to that breath with the extended exhalation. Take a few cycles of breath, just like that. And then release your hands. Let's come back to our intention to be gentle, kind, patient, loving, compassionate with ourselves. Let go of any manipulation of the breath. Turn the corners of your lips up into a smile. Slowly roll yourself over onto one side. Find your way into fetal position. And then press yourself up back into a seated position. Bring palms together at your heart. Thank you so much for sharing this gentle practice with me today. I hope it helped. With love and gratitude. Namaste.